Hey everyone, welcome back to Jade's fitness bucket list. This is quite funny, my biceps have now become too big. I really liked this shirt, but yeah, they've now become too big to take this on and off. That's better. Part 2 of my walking challenge. So I've doubled everything. So I doubled the amount of time I did it for. I did this challenge for 2 weeks, 14 days, and I did 30,000 steps every day for 2 weeks. Now, that's not strictly true. I actually did different amounts of steps because I wanted to make it more realistic. If we look at the data, you'll see that there are some days that I walked more and some days that I walked less, but there is an average within that week. If you take an average and divide it by 7, you'll also notice that it gives you the number 29,100 and something. So I'm basically 200 or 300 steps each of that whole week under the 30,000 that I claim to have done, that I've written as a title on this video as clickbait. And just because I was feeling a bit guilty about that, I did on the Monday, so on the 15th day, so the start of the 3rd week, I did walk a lot more steps to incorporate those extra couple hundred that I didn't quite make in the 1st and 2nd week, if that makes sense. So you'll see some days I walked like over 40,000 steps and some days would be like 17,000 steps. Either way, it's enough to make this experiment count in terms of how I felt upping my steps, why I upped my steps, why walking is really important. So in my first video, which you can check out here, I did a lot of research and different studies on the benefits of walking. I think all of us by now know there's lots of benefits to walking. There's also added studies that I found when I was researching for this video that I found quite shocking and pleasant at the same time in terms of the lesser known benefits of walking. I'm sure a lot of you guys are fans of Andrew Huberman. He has a great podcast, and one of his protocols to live a better life is to ensure better sleep by getting daylight, sunlight in your eyes. And what better way to do that than going for a walk? Because exposure to sunlight, especially the morning light, shifts forward the time you get sleepy. So it means that by the time you want to go to bed, you end up having a better sleep and getting to sleep quicker. The reason why, if you go to a foreign place somewhere outside of the continent, and you can help adjust to the new time zone by reducing jet lag by exposing yourself to morning sunlight. A lot of people would consider it quite difficult to get steps in, and I guess you have to think about it that you can break it into little blocks. You can go in 10-minute walks, in between Zoom calls if you work from an office or at home. And I regularly do about 12,000-ish steps, so it has been a conscious thing to up my steps. I've also tried to incorporate a few runs, which inadvertently increase steps, but they're not the only way, and they're surely not the best way that we can do that. A lot of people consciously will try to increase their steps by going for more walks. You get to see a bit of nature, like these lovely flowers over here. Our environment is set up to make us feel super sedentary. So I have an office-based job, I'm on a chair all day, and it's common knowledge now that moving around is healthier for your body. But what a lot of people do and fall in the trap of is going to the gym, doing 1 hour of intense exercise and then sitting down for the rest of the day. This doesn't offset the negative aspects of sitting down for long periods of time. Walking offsets the biomechanical ills that sitting for long periods of time does. In 2010, the American Cancer Society researchers published a study based on 123,216 men and women, and what they found was that sitting for a substantial percentage of one's waking hours, when you're not asleep, raised the risk of dying exponentially. So apparently women and men who sit more than 6 hours a day are 37% and 18% respectively more likely to die before people who sit less than 3 hours a day. So what's more, this is what really caught my eye. The negative effects were just as strong in people who exercised regularly. So even the mobile fell. It was like, what? And that study is really shocking to me, because it's saying that even if you do exercise regularly, if you are sitting for longer than 6 hours a day, you still don't offset the chances of death that regular walking and not sitting can do. And one of the best ways to offset hours and hours of sitting is
getting out from your chair and going for a walk. Striding, strolling, trekking, whichever way you do it, walking puts your hips into extension and lengthens the tissues shortened by sitting and putting the body back into its biochemical balance. There are 28 bones, 30 joints, and more than 100 muscles, tendons and ligaments in the feet. And just like their counterparts in the rest of the body, they benefit from forces and contractions. Vigorous workouts create a lot of cellular waste that needs to be moved out of the body for the adaptations of exercise to take place. So by revving up the lymphatic system, by moving and just generally walking and moving, that can help the recovery and get the most of your workouts. There are many reasons why I walk, and one of them is, I wouldn't say I am diagnosed with insomnia, but I find it very hard to sleep. So going for walks really helps me. And there was a Hungarian study that says it took 2 groups of sedentary people, ages 19 to 36, and half of them were instructed to walk 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day for 4 weeks. And they report back on issues relating to sleep. And the other group changed nothing about their activity habits. And they wanted to determine if walking affected sleep quality. By the end of the study, it was really clear that it did. The walkers had experienced improvements in all aspects of sleep quality. Now, obviously, one of the most obvious reasons why doing more walks would affect your sleep would be because it tires you out, right? It's pretty obvious. Walking, like other forms of physical activity, affects various chemicals in the brain, ranging from cell signaling proteins to brain neurotransmitters. Researchers have suspected that also enhances sleep. Physical activity lowers levels of depression and anxiety too. And obviously, if you're quite anxious, then that's also known to be a big disruptor of your sleep. It also raises the levels of a molecule called BDNF, and that's brain-derived neurotropic factor. And brain-derived neurotropic factor helps brain cells function fully and even grow. So one of the best ways to trigger neuroplasticity is to walk, and to walk fast. The brain senses the activity, and to adapt, it grows new connections that improve cognitive ability and strengthen areas subject to age-related decline. I'm full of studies today. I don't know why I decided to read them out here than sitting in my house because it's a nice day, but they're playing quite loud music. And I have to get on with my walking because I have to get 25,000 steps. Oh, it's a cute little dog. So another study was done by some neuroscientists in Duquesne University. I'll reference it. And they had women walk 3, 5 and 10 times during a week-long study. So each about 30 minutes, and they walked at a moderate pace, so that's really doable, right? The researchers then tested the women's pain perception when subjected to heat and pressure. And this also blew my mind. Those who walked 5 to 10 times a week, but not the group that walked 3, found the test 60% less painful after walking than they did at the start of the study. So they did the same kind of tests to measure how much each individual could tolerate in terms of pain, and then they redid that in all the test groups. Apparently that's because walking increases like certain brain chemicals known as the endogenous opioid system, and that's activated by movement. And they're like the body's natural medicine in terms of relieving pain. And you don't have to be a runner to get your endorphins flowing, but there is some evidence that suggests that the more walking you do, the likelier you are to have a higher pain tolerance.
I found this challenge, I found that I had to be very present in this challenge. I think it is a little bit unrealistic in everyday life to walk an average of 30,000 steps a day, and I understand that, but I wanted to take it to the extremes a little bit more to see if there's any physiological effects in my body, because if so, they'd be more present and be more noticeable in a shorter 2-week period. So I could have, for example, upped my steps by 2,000, 3,000 steps, like a lot of the studies that I've researched suggested.
The study involved a group of 59 men and women, and some of whom were asked to increase their steps by around 2,000 a day. So this was like an intervention group. And some of whom were asked to change nothing, the control group. On days when people in the intervention group, especially the women, took more steps and spent more time by being more active than average, they too reported better sleep quality and longer sleep durations.
I'm quite an active person as it is, and like I said, I only had a short space of time, 2 weeks. So during this time, I lost 2 kilograms. So I've lost, I don't know if that's 2 kilograms of fat per se, but 2 kilograms of weight. I feel a little bit leaner. In I did notice, just like when I did the 15,000 steps challenge, where I actually ended up gaining weight, that I was much, much hungrier. I think a lot of people get confused with cardio. Although walking has benefited a lot of people in terms of weight loss, I wouldn't say it was the best way for weight loss. I'm not gonna, say anything negative about, oh, you shouldn't be walking if you want to reduce your weight, because there are many, many cases where that has helped. It doesn't tend to help me. I know I did lose weight in this experiment, but that's because I did walk quite a large amount of steps that I probably wouldn't realistically do. I don't want to keep walking 30,000 steps a day, and feel like I consciously have to do that. Although sometimes I'd wake up and be like, oh, keep like refreshing the Fitbit app to see if I'd walked that much.
Some days like today, I really just can't be asked, even though it is a very sunny, beautiful day. I don't really even want to go to walk. I just want to stay in my house and watch Netflix with blinds drawn. And that's terrible. It doesn't really sound like me. It's because I've been walking so much lately that I just want a day that's a bit different.
I find walking to be a great way to catch up with friends. So either friends would go on little walks with me. I did that a few times and discovered new parts of my own city, or I would just use it as some time to catch up with friends on the phone and just mindlessly go walking and then not realise that I'd casually walked 10,000 steps. Like I said, if you are finding it difficult to incorporate more steps in your life, then breaking it down into 10-minute little walks here and there in between doing whatever you're doing in life seems to be a good way of proceeding to up your steps. But yeah, for me, I'm just very happy that I have functioning legs that can walk, and I really enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching my video. Hope you enjoyed it and took something from it. I know you can think of at least 3 benefits of walking, and now I've given you some more benefits, a few surprising ones out there. So you know what you got to do, right? No better time like the present to go for a walk.